share this with others, and we will get going. All right. So just a few quick words about my organization. We are Maryland's statewide after-school network. We're also the affiliate to the National After School Association. Please visit our website. There are a ton of resources there, and we do send out a packed newsletter every 2 weeks with grant opportunities, training opportunities, the latest research, special events, you name it, it's all in there. So please join us and sign up if you have not already. Just a little bit about me. I am born and raised in Baltimore. I went to Western High School, go Doves. And I've been the director of the Maryland Out of School Time Network since 2009. Before that, I worked a lot in the arts community. I was at Center Stage for a long time, and I did theater education there. And I'm a mom of right now 2 teenagers, a 13-year-old and a 16-year-old, and a beagle. So yay, Dove love in the chat. I love it. So we're going to have some fun today, but we have a packed agenda. So we're going to talk about planning and scheduling. We're going to talk about creating connections, culture of your program and communication in this virtual/hybrid world. We're going to look at tools for engagement. We're going to play a little bit ourselves. Talk about sources for the digital divide, because we know that our students don't always have everything they need in terms of internet access and devices. We're going to share with each other because we are all learners and have gotten some great ideas over the time that we've been in this pandemic, and we'll take questions and answers. So starting with planning and scheduling your virtual and hybrid models. I'll show you a sample schedule in a minute, but the first recommendation is to really start with keeping it simple and clear for your students. I don't know if you, I have a high school student, and I know that it's that A-B schedule that they create for students can be very challenging, and knowing exactly which Zoom rooms and places that people are supposed to be. So we really recommend doing some kind of visual schedule that's often used with students with disabilities, but it is good for everyone. Universal design for learning. I have a link there to one tool for making visual schedules. Canva also is a good tool for visualizing things. All the links, hot links in this, I'm going to send you the PDF for this PowerPoint. You will have all the links. So no worries as we go through. Definitely will make sure that happens. Also, it's really important to schedule in breaks when you're doing online learning. The younger students you're serving, the more breaks you want to have. Some of those breaks can be away from the keyboard breaks. They call that AKF breaks, or some of those can
AFK.
AFK, sorry, away from the keyboard. Thank you. AKF, AFK, thank you. Or they can be at the keyboard. Maybe you're doing something more physical for a moment, and you're doing that all together. You also want to think about adjusting to developmental needs. I don't know if anybody else just saw the crazy bell schedules that they released for Baltimore City's public schools for next year, but it seems like they have it all backwards because they're making the high school students come in even earlier than they were already coming, and they're making the elementary school kids go in late. I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but that is not what the research says. So if it is possible in your programming, if you are serving older youth, particularly on a virtual platform, it may make sense to give them a little bit of later start time to see attendance be robust in a program. And then one thing I always say, I've learned, I don't have it today, but in running all of our virtual worlds in Zoom, et cetera, 2 facilitators are better than 1. That doesn't always have to be in another adult. It's an opportunity potentially for you to give leadership opportunities within your programs to have the young, to rotate a role of facilitation with the young people in your Zoom rooms. So maybe they monitor the chat box, or maybe they have some other kind of technical role. But it's very helpful for one person to not have to concentrate on all things technical in the Zoom room and also facilitate learning. So here's our sample schedule for what a full day or most of a day virtual synchronous and asynchronous day might look like. You do some check-in in the morning. You're all together, you're kind of sharing information. You have some break, you do office hours, and oftentimes you can assign, particularly for older youth, work that's being done off camera, an asynchronous project. Maybe sometimes that's a collaborative project where they're working with other students. And in other cases, it could be something that they're working on their own. You always want to build in some physical activity in the day, getting people moving. Just the more fun and interactive that you can make it. This may not be the useful schedule for you, but it's just an example of how to break up, you know, a long period of time within virtual learning and going synchronous and asynchronous, even during a single day. Like I said, this will all be in the PowerPoint. So before I go forward on that, does anybody have any, number 1, questions about this scheduling recommendations, or 2, suggestions that you've experienced from your own time in running programming? Thoughts, questions, suggestions? All right, we'll keep moving. So next we're going to talk about the, ooh, my trigger happy on the next button. Next we're going to talk about culture, connections, and communication, 3 C's of the virtual and hybrid world. We're going to talk about that culture first. I think this is really an opportunity, again, particularly when you have older youth, but even with younger youth, to first of all, in your very first couple of days, you can do this collaboratively with young people. What do you want the expectations and norms to be in your virtual classroom? So one of the big questions is always video on or off. I know that we've seen a lot of situations where your students are just little squares and not moving. I find that it's nice to do both. So there may be times, and again, we respect that students are coming from a lot of different environments and backgrounds, and there are limitations potentially on why or why not they might be on camera, and you can respect all of those. But there are times maybe you incentivize video being on, or you say, yeah, we don't need video right now, it's fine. But setting those norms up and what those expectations are at the very beginning with your students will definitely encourage participation in a different way. All of those things, and just in terms of, you know, just when, you know, how do you leave? Do you ask to leave the room? Just all your expectations, work it out together with your students and have that written into some kind of technical document that is available on whatever platforms that you're using. We're going to talk about classroom management, collaboration platforms in a minute, but just setting those expectations together. And then really taking the time to orient students to their digital environment and tools. So if you're going to use a new tool, before you just sort of jump into it, have folks give you feedback on how familiar they are, what they know, what they don't know, give them time to practice, go over all the steps, and also offer the opportunity to troubleshoot. We are also going to talk about communication tools a little bit later, but if you should have some sort of pathway for students to reach you and ask you questions and get back to them quickly. There are some text tools, there are some other things that can be used that don't require your personal information, but that are digital kind of replacements for that. So one thing that I think is super important, and we do it in our in-person programs in general, you know, the warm welcome is always a big part of the youth development, is that no matter whether you're in person or you're off person, you have some way to check in and check out. Often those are fun things to do. But the other thing, again, for your opportunities for youth leadership is that they can choose a fun check-in or check-out, or lead a fun check-in or check-out in that virtual space as well. So that's something that always to consider, is giving those opportunities. And so, you know, these are sort of general principles. You're probably familiar with all of these. We want our warm welcome, energetic openings. We want using music is a great tool with young people, and even giving them a chance to pick music, taking the temperature from time to time, having sometimes that you're connecting with students one-on-one, and then also small groups, breakout groups can be very effective. And setting up friendly competitions, maybe you're using some tools that have leaderboards. These are all ways that keep students engaged. So here's just a short list of some of those fun activities. Again, all the hyperlinks will be in the slide deck that I will send out. Do folks have some of these? We're going to brainstorm together too a little bit later, but some that you want to add to the list. And I would recommend you can come off mute and share them, but also put them in the chat, because I'll save the chat at the end, and any additional links that people suggest will be added there. So anybody have a website, an app, activity that they really love doing, either in the virtual space or in the in-person space, that they want to share?
I definitely used Kahoot for just kind of, some were kind of curriculum based. Mm-hmm. And then every once in a while there was just one kind of, you know, pop culture, you know, just a fun one, a short fun Kahoot about just a random topic that they may be interested in, like, you know, even if it was not strictly tied to the curriculum, they enjoy being able to participate in that. It gives a competition element as well as reinforce the learning.
Yep, absolutely. And we're gonna do something similar to Kahoot a little bit later, and that's one of my favorites as well. What about anybody else? Any other apps or tools like that that you have used to success in your programs so far? I see something in the chat. Oh, thanks for dropping that link in. Anyone else? There is also going to be at the there's a whole other set of links in this presentation for more kinds of activities. These are just sort of some of the breakaway things that Good. Yeah, Kahoot's such a great tool, and and kids love it. There's no, I mean, they get in, but not just kids, adults really love Kahoot too. Anytime you can put a little bit of competition in there, that just jazzes things up a little bit. So just a few more tools on the connection side of things. Increasing just the interactivity of anything that you're doing is always fun. So using more visuals. Here's a couple. So I mentioned Kahoot here, and quizzes, which we're gonna play. Oh, musical chairs. Yep. I wonder if you have a version of musical chairs that is virtual. You could think about that. It's always fun to think about how to virtualize an in-person kind of game. So these are just ways to make, you can actually create video lessons with Edpuzzle, which is a really cool tool. And then Pear Deck helps make, it interacts with Google Slides, makes them more visually engaging, and also helps you track engagement and participation of your students. So those are a couple of ones. And we are going to go ahead and try a quiz. This is actually, hold on, I'm going to drop a different link in the chat. So just hold on a second.
I also dropped another resource in the chat called Tier Maker.
Great.
It's basically allows you to rank certain things, like your favorite. So if you have a list of different options, people can vote on which one they want to be the favorite. You can use it for movies, food, or anything, but just kind of creates a tiered list and gives an opportunity for them to kind of make tough choices. Okay, so which one is better, comparing things. And it's really visual. A lot of for a while, a lot of YouTubers use those lists for content, like how they were going to rank certain things. So Tier Maker is the name of it. I'll drop the link in the chat.
So we're going to do a little quiz ourselves. So here's the link, and then you're going to use, so ignore the link on the slide and just use the link in the chat. And then this is your code. So if you click on joinmyquiz.com and then enter the code 577277.
It's giving me an error with joinmyquiz.com.
Okay, let me try that. See, this is always the way. It's always a note of technology.
Okay. The www
Is what
yeah, just don't leave the www off.
Okay.
And it worked.
Oop.
This is, I'll drop the link that I got.
Thank you.
This gets you there.
Perfect. And it's 577277. Use your game code. Okay. I've got a couple people in there. I like this tool because you can add in pictures and you can personalize all the questions, and there's a couple of different ways to run the quizzes. It's kind of fun. Oh. I don't know where it went. So you can just see that it's just in one other way, kind of like Kahoot, fun way to add into your mix of quiz things. All right. Had to throw in a little Western trivia in there. It's my fun. So there, in this virtual and hybrid world, there's almost no such thing as too much communication with young people. Here's a whole list of different ways that you can communicate. I think Remind is one of the most popular. Again, it's a way that you can use basically like a text message type platform. Also does calendar reminders. There's ways to assign things. It's really quite good. One that I learned about when I was researching for this that I think is really important if you're serving students with a wide background of parents is talking points will actually translate into other languages, which is pretty cool as a tool when you're sending messages. And then Slack is almost a project management tool, and something I know a lot of older youth programs use. It can be a little bit more complicated than some of the others, but is also definitely, you can throw all the files you need up there. There's lots of different features to it. And then collaboration tools are super important too. One that's missing on here is Jamboard. How many folks have used Jamboard during the pandemic? I know that at first I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. And then by the time I had done like 20 Jamboards in 1 week, I was like, oh, I don't know if I can do another Jamboard, but it's also a really good, and I'll put the link to Jamboard in here since it's not on this list and it should be. Have folks had good experiences with Jamboard or used Jamboard before?
I've used it a couple times. Yeah, it's a pretty cool feature.
Kids really like it. And then let me just add the link to that in the chat. It's gonna be jamboard.google.com. And we can come back to that and try a Jamboard for those who may not have done it before, because it is really worthwhile as a tool. These are just a few resources for actual activities, and many of these come in both online and live formats. So you can do them either, you can facilitate them either way. The summer activity guide has basically a ton of lessons at all age developmental levels. A lot of social emotional learning kind of focused activities like self-reflection, identity building, really well thought out pieces and curricular pieces. Again, all completely free. You just download the lessons and run them how you like. They're designed also to be low cost, no cost materials for that. Mizzen is an actual app. And if you go to mizzen.org, and it'll give you the link to download the application. Again, all free access to a ton of curricular activities. Just two examples there are Jazz at Lincoln Center, and now they have the 1619 project materials all online, designed for out of school time programs. That was a really exciting for me when they added that to MISN, but there's also STEM activities on there, arts activities, literacy activities, you name it, it's in the app. It's just a really, really robust resource for after school professionals. You can download, print things. Edible Schoolyard's fun. And then just some local partners more around STEM and coding and things, Code in the Schools. Digital Harbor has a curriculum that's really kind of centered around youth employment. Again, all of this are free and accessible materials. And then Jobs for the Future, Possible Futures curriculum. Again, that's somewhat STEM related and also career and college readiness related. If there is if you're looking for a particular curricular resource that is virtual or that can be virtualized, you can let me know and I can research and find some of the best quality ones. We are part of a national network, and so we put out the question, what's your best online curricular module for X, Y, and Z, and somebody in our network has one or knows what they would recommend. So I just put a sample of things that I think are interesting here, but I'm happy to help support you in finding exactly the right thing that you're looking for in your program if you don't already have that curricular piece figured out. So is anybody struggling with any of the access issues that young people face around technology and internet in terms of your programming? Such a quiet group. I know it's Saturday afternoon.
I did my initial program right when the pandemic has just started, and it was it was insane because a lot of kids would have devices like their mom's phone and it would die and then they couldn't get back on, or they had a tablet that wasn't charged that they were sharing with a sibling. So by the end of the day when my program was running, they would have devices that wouldn't work, so they would miss part of programming. So it was mainly like device issues not being charged, or Wi-Fi not connecting properly, that kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. I think the device issues are almost as bad as the internet issues. We also we know that a lot of students are now giving back their devices that were using during the school year. And so we may find that young people are once again without devices for summer programming. I just wanted to share a few resources in case you run up against this. PCs for the People actually does donate devices to programs. They are Baltimore based, and so you might want to check them out. Baltimore Digital Equity Coalition also has a sort of hotline, like a tech literacy access hotline that they're managing. Project Waves is working on internet access specifically in Baltimore City. The T-Mobile hotspots also are something to look into for students who are eligible for free and reduced meals. They can get a free hotspot with service for a period of time. I'm not a big fan of the Comcast Internet Essentials program, but it is an option for some families. It's $10 a month for internet access. It's not the highest bandwidth. It does come with a computer. And a lot of people don't know that the Enoch Pratt Free Library also, in addition to providing internet access and devices in the libraries, does loan devices in some circumstances and for certain projects and for people. So that is also something to look into for your young people and their families. you know, this is a, if you do find that you're stuck on something, again, I offer the opportunity for you to reach out and troubleshoot. I've been part of the Digital Equity Coalition, and I have some sense of some of the strategies and resources. Also on their website, there's another internet access program that might be of use and of interest, again, to the students and families that you serve. Okay, I've been talking a lot, just throwing lots of links and information at you. But I did want to spend a little bit more time digging into your own experiences running programming during the last 2 years. What are the things that you think are most important for people to keep in mind while they're doing this work, and what are your favorite tools, and what are some pieces of advice you would share?
I can share a couple things that were helpful for me.
Great.
We did use we used just regular Google Docs as a shared document to create sort of a collaborative set of notes that people could highlight and comment on. So we kind of created sort of like a wiki, sort of like a shared body. So I put an outline in Google Docs and gave everyone access to it. And sometimes some of the other tools, they're fun to use. There might be a little tricky if you're not that savvy, but everyone was pretty comfortable just working with a regular Google Doc. So that can be a good entry into using those collaborative tools.
Yep.
Another thing that I did was using Zoom, when sometimes people had access or connection issues getting into Zoom, I simultaneously broadcast like my teaching portions onto YouTube. So if you have a hard time connecting to Zoom, you can view the presentation on YouTube. And it wouldn't be the entire class. It would just be speaker and screen share. But they could see, when I was presenting information, I could send a YouTube link if people were having access problems with Zoom.
Yeah, that's a really great.
So using that feature inside of Zoom to simultaneously live stream, it also created a resource that people who missed a session could go back and review very easily. So that was one of the things that was really helpful in teaching in the past. So just the Google Docs, other than the things that we've shared already, using Google Docs and using YouTube sort of as a platform to broadcast, just as a way to help folks who were having Zoom access issues or missing certain instructional periods.
Right. Those are all really great suggestions. And I'm going to ask, if you don't mind, to put them in the chat so that when I have the chat notes, they'll be saved and part of the record of this training. What about anybody else? What are some of the things that really worked for you, or things that really didn't work for you that you would advise people to stay away from? Any other thoughts? Got these ideas getting added to the chat. Thank you. Okay. One thing we're going to do is we're going to go back and we are going to do just one little practice with Jamboard. So people have the summer, and I'm gonna share it with myself, and then I'll share it with you. All right. Okay, hold on just a second. I'm getting it ready. Anyone with link? Copy link. And I am putting that Jamboard link into the chat. And then I'm gonna share my screen with the Jamboard. Edit that. So the way Jamboard works, if you haven't used it before, is that you can do all sorts of different things in it. You can take these little sticky notes. They're going to come up and you can pick what color you want to make them. And then you write text in them. You can also draw. Let's see, where's my little drawing thing? You can draw things if you want. Sometimes that's good for like drawing lines between different ideas. You can add in photos. Let's see if there's any fun. There's hardly any photos in this. There's my mom and my kids. They're being, so you can add in little photos right there. And a lot of times it's fun to add in other kinds of things. Are you having trouble getting into the Jamboard?
I don't know. Are you? I'm on the Jamboard. I don't see. Only thing I see are the lines, and I don't see anything shared on your screen. I don't know if you were sharing your screen.
Oh, I am sharing my screen.
Oh, you were sharing the I was still seeing the presentation.
Oh, there we go. Can you see?
Yeah, I see it now.
All right, so if you see, there's this little box here that is the sticky note box. Again, here's when you click on it, it gives you a chance to change the color, and then you type into the sticky note. And yeah, there you can create text boxes as well. There's all sorts of little things that you have other ways of sort of move around, like when you're presenting, you can be like, this thing, pay attention to this thing. So that's like your laser pointer down there. But this is a really fun, this can be a really fun way of sharing ideas. Your check-ins on the Jamboard, saying kind of like, how are you feeling today? Or you can add memes or gifs to the Jamboard to give people an opportunity to kind of express themselves in a different way. If you hit clear frame, everything goes away. So like I said, I'll put my sticky note back. What is the goal of your summer program? So if you grab a sticky note on the left-hand side for me, and you can go ahead and add in that goal. Let me know if you have any trouble. I only see a couple people in the Jamboard, so it's probably you and I.
Well, I have I just had view access.
Okay, let's see if I can change. See, these are all the little tricks of the technology that you learn as you go. All right, try it now. I may have to redrop the link in the chat if the link changed.
Yeah, I think you have to use a different link to give us edit access.
Okay. Yeah, it can be hard to use Jamboard while you're on your phone. So no worries, no worries.
Okay, now I got some tools.
Gotcha.
Got it.
And always, this is exactly, you can model for your students that we are learning together, that technology always is a process of learning and experiencing. And, we can kind of, everything doesn't have to be perfect all the time. That's kind of my, also in STEM learning, sometimes your project does what it's supposed to do and sometimes it doesn't. But in the virtual world, things are going to go wrong. And it's just about patience and teamwork to make sure that you still go ahead and try to play with some of these more engaging tools. So explore entrepreneurship through graphic design and print on demand e-commerce. That's really cool. Can you just, for the sake of my knowledge, what kinds of products are you making, and what's sort of your process for the summer on how you do that, and how are you doing that virtually and hybrid or hybrid?
So you want me to just say it?
Yeah, just say it.
Put it on the wall.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm working with Unique Fabrics. It's one of the learning paths. We're going to be studying. First, we're going to just go over some of the principles of graphic design. We're going to be primarily using Canva as the platform that they'll be practicing and creating in. T-shirts are sort of the core product. So coming up with, we're going to learn about branding and logo design and those types of things. The young people will be able to create designs that are made to go on apparel. And there are several different print on demand services or options. One is a local company that has some capabilities to set up e-commerce. So it's a project-based learning experience where the participants will, by the end of the course, have their own working live e-commerce store where they can sell their designs and things.
Love it. And so are you doing it entirely virtual, or is it hybrid or in person, or how exactly is that working for you?
So it's going to be virtual. It's going to be all virtual.
It's a really good type of program to do virtually, since the students themselves are working in virtual tools anyway. It makes a lot of sense because you can check in, you can do skill building, you can see their progress, but then they can work on their own and do things on their own time.
Right. It's really great because with Canva, it's very easy for them to share their designs and work collaboratively with each other within that tool, since it's cloud based. And so yeah, that's the approach.
Sounds great. And then I saw in the chat, Tiffany said that her goal is to have a fun and educational summer. Tiffany, you want to say a little bit potentially about how your program is structured and who you're serving and what you're trying to achieve and how you're going to do that through that virtual hybrid model? If you can come off mute. Yeah.
Hello. I'm sorry. I was trying to come off mute. Well, we're going to be in person as far as my summer program is concerned. Well, where I'm at Little Flowers. When I say fundational, everything is going to be centered without their knowledge. A lot of fun, but at the same time, they're going to be learning. Doing team building projects, Like if we go swimming or skating, um, having the older kids be responsible with some of the younger kids, or younger students, teaching them to make sure that they have all of their belongings. And if we go to the aquarium or the science center, there it's all going to be based around education. Um, we also have a gentleman coming in playing basketball sports with their with my students. So that's how.
Great. And are there virtual or electronic platforms that you do use with the students while they're in person that contribute to
Yes,
some of that fun?
yes, we do have some laptops. Not all of them are working, and the link that that you shared, I will be reaching out to that program to see how can I get more laptops in, because having 6 students on one laptop or 4 students on another laptop is it's not fun.
Yeah, you really need
um,
one-to-one devices for a lot of these kinds of projects.
yeah,
And it's much more helpful if you have that. And that is a common situation in our after school and summer programs, is that, we just don't have the kinds of resources to get to that one-to-one. And so yeah, I would definitely reach out to PCs for the People on that front. I think you'll find that having a few more devices will help you also think through kind of other activities you can do that don't require students to group around a computer, but can do them one-on-one.
right. And I like that, having them to do one-on-one activities, especially when I wind up having maybe like a math session real quick where they can go on a website where it's fun. Like I like the quiz me that you put up,
Yeah.
creating their own quizzes, and maybe they can share it with their friend to see who can get something correct. And it's always going to be an incentive for them because that's what they look forward to. Incentives of the winner or who got the most answers or something. So
Yeah,
all the
something.
links that you shared, I'm going
Yes.
to definitely be looking into.
Great. Yeah. Another area that is very hot right now is esports. Students really enjoy that, and that can be combined with some learning goals in terms of math or literacy. So lots of opportunities out there to use devices for learning and fun in sort of conjunction with other kinds of activities that kids need over the summer. Um, so that is the end of my slideshow. I am happy to chat longer, answer questions. I do, oops, my trigger, previous. I'm gonna copy, oops, there we go. Gonna get this link to you. It's the link for the evaluation of this session. That there. And then I'm also going to give you more little things. Just doesn't want to stay where it's supposed to be. Please. Okay, so you've got the Oh, I have a raised hand. Go ahead.
Hi, I just wanted to share something because I'm just um, the tools that you were sharing, Jamboard and Kahoot. I just realized instead of using Google form to close out with like a questionnaire to see what they've learned for the day, I'm teaching jewelry making. But we're also incorporating wellness into our program and self-esteem building and leadership. So I'm just thinking like instead of using the Google form with, questions to see what they learned that day, I think those are really great tools that I can substitute at the end of the day, real fun. Even though we're in person, I think that's still a really quick, good one to use.
Yep, yep. And you can also use, there's a couple other like polling devices that are kind of fun too. Like there's one that's called like Mentimeter that can be used. And that's a really good way to get feedback in real time in different situations. So that's one to think about. I'll pull that one up in a second and add it to the chat. So it's in the chat log. Poll Anywhere also is a good one. Yeah, and I mean, I think anyway you can do checkouts, both virtual and just, my favorite is awesome, not awesome. Like what was awesome about today? What was not awesome? And it's just really simple and fun, and you get a lot of good information about what kids liked and didn't like about something. So yeah, I think any reflection tools are great, and sometimes it's easier even just if you're in person, maybe you use actual post-its, right?
Oh yeah.
Like grab a couple post-its and tell me what was awesome and not awesome, and just put them on the board. Anything that gets kids an opportunity to do it a little differently, to answer the questions in their own terms, is always great.
Yeah.
So I did want to point out that we have more trainings coming up. So this one on Tuesday will be in person at Union Mill, and in the little basement where we held the kickoff the other night. And it'll be fun. We're going to definitely do something hands-on, but we will also share a bunch of resources around STEM learning. And then these two are being done by my colleague, Steph Grimes, who wrote our career and college readiness toolkit, which is a really great toolkit if you haven't had a chance to take a look at it. Lots of activities in it as well. It is designed for middle and high school career and college readiness work. And we're working on an elementary version. The toolkit is also in Spanish. If you're working with Spanish speaking students, that might be helpful. So those sessions, you just need to RSVP to me for them. And then this is all my contact information. You can find me, and I am happy on an individual level to, give feedback, help you find curriculum, do whatever you need to support your programs. And I think that's it. So I'm going to leave that slide up. Again, happy to take more thoughts or questions. And we can get maybe a few minutes back in our day. Nobody ever complains about ending early.
Oh, what time were we supposed to end?
2:30.
Oh, okay.
If we had like 20 people when we were doing all those discussion points with a lot more people, it could have been a lot longer session. But since we're a nice intimate group and you know, we move through quickly, we're good to go. But like I said, I'm happy to hang for a minute and answer a few more questions, or we can just wrap up.
I'm good, thank you.
I'm good. I don't have any more questions.
So you said the slides are going to come to the email we registered with?
Yep, I'm gonna actually do that right before I walk out of the office today. So I am actually, like, this is the very next thing I'm gonna do is gonna email you the slides, the chat, which reminds me I need to save that right now. And yeah, it will all come to you in just a minute, and the recording. So it'll be the recording, the slides, the chat, in an email shortly.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I hope to see you guys in some other trainings. I think we're gonna, like I said, we'll have the STEM one and the 2 college and career readiness ones. And I'm sure there'll be others being offered by a variety of folks through the Summer Funding Collaborative. So always here for you.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right.
All right, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, y'all have a good one.
Yeah.